This is our other ranked top 25 matchup in week 3 as Bill O'Brien's Boston College Eagles already have a top 10 upset this season. Can they get another one? Hello, everybody. You're listening to the College Sports Superfan, and I'm so excited for this game. I think this is going to end up being a better game than, once again, just like what I talked about with Alabama at Wisconsin. I truly believe this game could be much closer than the spread indicates. This is another game that Missouri is a 16 and a half point favorite. I just disagree with that. I totally get why, but I think this Boston College team, from what I saw against Florida State, they look really, really impressive to me. And Boston College is coming off of a tune-up game right before this one. They played Duquesne. So that was very easy for them. They won that game by a significant margin. So they're coming into this one with a lot of confidence boosted. They've already beaten a top 10 team. They're in the top 25 already very early into Bill O'Brien's tenure. The team believes in his vision, and they have an excellent, excellent quarterback. Oh my goodness. I think this guy is amazing. Thomas Castellanos. He has been near perfect so far on the season. 73% completion percentage, 6 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, 340 passing yards, along with 80 rushing yards, and no turnovers. That kind of percentage, that kind of yardage. I mean, his offensive efficiency is very, very, very high. Compare that to Brady Cook, who I honestly was expecting a lot more out of him so far through the first couple of games this season, if I'm just going to be honest about it. He did really, really well last year. He really won people over. He's a great dual threat quarterback. And I haven't seen it so far. He's got one passing touchdown, and Castellanos has 6 times that number. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns, but they're all relatively short yardage rushing touchdowns. So it's not like he's running all over the place like he was last season. I don't know. Brady Cook is he's just underwhelmed me a little bit so far, but he could always kick it in at any point and be this amazing quarterback that I know that he can be. Let's get back to Boston College for a second. It's not just the quarterback, Thomas Castellanos, that's been really great with this offense. Trayshawn Ward and Kai Robichaux have been a great two-man backfield. They're both seniors. They both know what they're doing. So they're very experienced running backs, and they've just been running well. It's been a nice 1-2 punch that Boston College has been able to work with, and that offensive line's been opening up holes for them. The defensive line looked very impressive against Florida State. They really shut down the Seminoles. And in general, they've been very, very stout against the run as they showed that not just against Florida State, but also against Duquesne. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. In terms of receivers for Boston College, Lewis Bond has kind of been the best wide receiver for the Eagles, but Castellanos has done a really good job, really throwing darts out there and spreading it around the whole field. So that's been very, very good to see. Meanwhile, Missouri's defense is off of back to back shutouts. So the Tigers' defense hasn't given up any points so far. So even if Boston College gets a field goal or anything, that's going to be the first points that Missouri's defense has allowed all season. Very impressive. But the Tigers have played 2 very weak opponents so far. So they've got 2 tune-up games that they just easily destroyed. So it's kind of hard to judge how great that defense really is when they've played teams that aren't all that impressive so far. But the other thing about Missouri is I'm just shocked at the fact that their receiving core is so good. This is also the other big reason why I'm surprised Brady Cook doesn't have more than just one touchdown pass. He's got Luther Burden, who's arguably the best receiver in the country. I personally think Tataroa McMillan is the best, and Travis Hunter is up there as well as one of the best. But Luther Burden is right there with those guys. I think he's squarely in the top 3 with those guys. It's just an elite talent. So the fact that he doesn't have any more touchdowns at this point is shocking to me. Theo Weiss is an amazing wide receiver as well. So I'm surprised he doesn't have more. overall, this receiving core is very solid. Mookie Cooper as well, very good third option. I think that's one of the best receiving cores in the country. So that's another shock to me that Brady Cook is struggling as much as he is. And it's not like they're running the ball like crazy either. And my concern for that is since they have been focusing way more on the run, that leads to my biggest concern for Missouri heading into this game against Boston College. The Eagles' run defense has been stout. Listen to this. They've only been allowing 40 and a half rushing yards per game. 40 and a half. That is so low. That's like basically almost nothing. They like pretty much for the whole game. They did that against Florida State, and then they did that against Duquesne, who's a terrible team. But the fact that they did that against Florida State shows me that this run defense actually is very, very good. But here's my biggest concern for Boston College. It's a new scheme, new head coach, on the road in a tough environment. They've already won on the road in a tough environment already this season, but the talent gap between the Eagles and the Missouri Tigers to me is so big. It's so big. And that's why the spread is where it's at. It's really just because people are like, we really expect Boston College to go on the road and take down a top 10 SEC team that's been recruiting the way that they have been, that has the talent, the NFL caliber talent that they have. It's you're rolling the dice with that one, but I'll tell you this. I have Missouri winning this game, but I have them winning by 3. I think it's really going to be that close. I think Boston College is going to surprise a lot of people this year. I really like what Bill O'Brien is building with his system. He's proven to be an incredible play caller, especially on offense, whether it was at Penn State or whether it was the offensive coordinator of Alabama, where he helped Bryce Young get a Heisman Trophy. He's proven to be an elite play caller. He's got, in my opinion, an elite dual threat quarterback who's been more impressive than Missouri's quarterback so far with worse receivers. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Missouri's got an elite defense. They're going to step up when they have to. They're going to get the turnovers that they have to get to win this game. And I think ultimately Missouri is going to win in a close one. They'll sweat a little bit, realize they have to figure some things out before SEC play, but I do believe that they are going to survive against the Boston College Eagles, who could make some noise in the ACC that, besides Miami, is totally up in the air at this point for who the next best team may be. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to the College Sports Super Fan. I'm super excited for all of these games here. I think this week, even though there's only a couple of ranked matchups, there's still so many just high quality matchups every single weekend. I think NIL and the transfer portal and all these things has made the game more balanced, more competitively balanced than ever before. So I think some of these games where we see these big spreads, I just don't think it's going to actually turn out to be that case. I think we're going to see a lot of closer games than we expect. So thank you guys so much for listening and stay tuned for the rest of the videos this week, including the Bundley game of the week. She's 2-0. We'll see if she can get to 3-0, and we'll get into that later on this week. Thank you guys so much and stay tuned for that.